What is good, you guys? Welcome back. So, today I am making that video finally that you asked me to make about how I use my spiritual senses and manifest effortlessly. And I'm also going to tell you about a client who did it as well. And the thing is, you guys, those same senses that you have outwardly touching, tasting, smelling, hearing, all of that are spiritual senses that you also can do within yourself when you have entered the kingdom and you are imagining things the way that you want them to be. And it's very important that you learn how to use that. So, we're going to talk about that today, right? Because most people imagine only for tomorrow's circumstances. And this is what gets a lot of us tripped up, right? Or to manifest an outcome for what they believe is currently happening, but not taking into consideration that every timeline that you are on has its own fate or its own end, right? So we're not necessarily changing what's currently happening, but we must choose from the infinite mind, and you have to enter that kingdom within you, which is your imagination or the spiritual world within yourself, the 4D as we call it, and imagine and use your senses from there, right? So you have to remember that the end is where we begin, just like Neville Goddard says. So, imagining from the end is to imagine what life is like after that event that you want or desire to happen is done. So, that could be after receiving a certain amount of money, or after you and your SP have already gotten into that relationship where you have already bought the house, right? So, let's just say, for an example, I'm going to share with you how I would do it. So, let's say that you want to buy a home, right? But right now you're in a reality where you don't have a home, you don't see in sight where you have it, right? And I know Neville would say that, of course, to make it easier, you would sleep in that home, right? That's the same as using your spiritual senses. But imagine, you want to imagine not to get the home, you are imagining from already having the home. And using your spiritual senses, the way I would imagine is, I would imagine that I've already had the home, but I would go far into it, go all the way, and imagine from 6 months on, what would I be doing, right? So let's say in the morning, I would be in this imaginal scene. I would wake up and I would make breakfast, and I would hear the coffee machine going within myself. I would smell the coffee, and I would be cooking the food. I can feel me flipping the pancakes. I can feel me plating the food. I can feel the warm coffee cup in my hands, and I could drink that coffee and I could taste that coffee, right? And that is me using my spiritual senses. And for me personally, I am someone that loves the kinesthetic feel. You guys know I talk about it all the time. That was the one thing I feel that really helped me understand what I'm doing within myself, is to feel within myself what's happening, right? And so when you are able to feel within yourself, when you're able to smell, if you're able to hear, taste, all of those, although of course imagining and talking within, hearing inner conversation, that's good, just as powerful. But for me, really smelling, tasting, and feeling within myself, that for me has always got me my manifestation easily. But that is what I would do. I would imagine far in to me already having the home, right? But most people, they come out of that and then they're still thinking, okay, but I'm here. So how do I get there? Instead of realizing that you're living from the end when you're imagining that, right? When you have went inside yourself, entered the kingdom, and have went far in, your true nature, it doesn't know the difference, right? So the thing is, you guys, one of my clients last year, this is a beautiful story. Last year, she was not with her specific person at all, right? I talked to her at the beginning of last year, and we worked together for a little bit, but I told her that if she could just utilize her spiritual senses within herself, she would really see that she would be the person that she's always wanted to be, right? And I told her, if you were already in a relationship, let's not talk about trying to manifest to get back into a relationship with him, but what would be happening if you were already in a relationship with your specific person and it was 6 months in, a year in? What would you be doing, right? And she said, you know what if I just go all the way and imagine, because I do want to be married to him, right? And so her imaginal scene was, she imagined them going on a cake testing, right? And in that experience, sensory wise, she put in all her senses, and she said that they actually tried the cakes and she could taste the different cakes. And they came to an agreement that they both chose a red velvet cake. And she would imagine that. And she said that it felt like it was something that kind of rooted in her. And she was like, yeah, that's already happened. So she understood that it was already happening for her inner man, which was the truth, right? And so she ended up they ended up getting back together through a series of events, right? So they ended up getting back together, and last year in December they ended up getting engaged, right? So it's funny because she messaged me back in January and she said that they are going to take cake testing in a few months, which is I believe this month, right? And she told me that her fiance asked her to make sure that there was a red velvet sample that they could try. So isn't that funny? Remember, you guys, you are always out picturing yourself. You have to realize that you are always out picturing yourself. And here's the thing. You have to realize that it's not necessarily about the imaginal scene, no matter what you do within yourself. You have to see that what does this scene or whatever you're doing in yourself, what is it implying? It's implying that you are the person who you desire to be, or you're not the person that you desire to be. But when you come out of that imaginal scene, most of us go back to believing that we're still in that other reality where the bills are still not paid and you're not with your SP. And so you keep reacting to outer senses instead of trusting and creating from your spiritual senses. So remember, the outer senses are reactionary, but your inner senses create and tell you what will be. And the reason why you want to imagine with your inner senses and not bring any of the baggage or the past with you when you come into that imagination is so that you can take on the naturalness of that you who already has the desire that you want. That's why you're imagining far in. Because a lot of people will say, well, how will I know what being a millionaire feels like, if I never had $1 million? Well, you have to imagine from what would you be doing if you were a millionaire? Come on, you know how to use your imagination. That's what it means when you need to be a kid when you enter the kingdom. Kids, they don't care about like whatever is going on out here. They have a wild imagination, right? So you don't bring any of the baggage that you believe is going on out here with you when you enter the kingdom, right? You imagine, you plan those vacations, you take those vacations, you feel the sand on your feet, you feel yourself drinking that margarita. You hear your SP say how excited they are to get married to you or excited that you guys are expecting your first child. The farther you go, that's why they say go all the way. As Lester Levinson says, go all the way. You have to go all the way, right? Because you're connecting with that you where it's already been natural for. So when your manifestation does come, it's going to feel so natural. It's not going to feel like, oh my God, I manifested it. It's going to be like, of course it was happening because that was the next best thing because it's natural for you to be open to receive that, right? And that's how it was when of course, I got my car. That's how it is in any business that I have. That's how it is for a ton of my clients when they finally get this. And this is what I want you guys to see. It's not about trying to fix what is here right now, because this reality is totally different from the reality where you do have what you want. And when you have what you want, and you're that person that is in that abundant mindset or whatever it may be, that loving mindset, where you are now, where you don't have that, is on a totally different vibration. That whatever you've experienced out here could never enter where you are when you have what it is that you desire, because it's a higher vibration, you guys. It just, some of the things just would not connect, right? It's two totally different lives. So stop trying to figure out what is right now and go within yourself and imagine to catch that naturalness, to catch that mood of being that person that you desire. And you do that by using all of the senses within you, right? So, I have a freebie for you guys. I put together a guide for you called The Creator's Blueprint: How to Command Your Reality Using Your Spiritual Senses. And you can get that from either one of my sites. It is free. So, I hope that you guys love that. And if you really want to learn how to put this, what we talked about, into action when it comes to revision and parallel realities, make sure you sign up for our revision masterclass on Saturday, the 29th. I am going to leave it open because I would like more for you guys to come. So it's going to be a little bit of a bigger class and I'm excited for it. And you really don't want to miss this one because I'm telling you guys, it's going to be such an amazing experience, right? And all of the other information and one on ones to work with me are down in the description box below. And remember, you guys, your imagination, I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I know for a fact, right? It is on your side, right? And I am too. And I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.